So I'm originally from Vancouver, BC, and I've kind of lived all across Canada. But right now I'm in Toronto, and I've been here for the last 6 years. I don't know if you can see my rabbit. He's like he's like been jumping around. Here, I have a bunny. This is my bunny Turnip.
Adorable.
But yeah, I'm a Pilates instructor in Toronto, so I teach at studios all across the city. And then I also pivoted over to digital like we all did. And I now run a company called Dime Pilates, which is an online Pilates studio. So I don't feel like there was ever a specific moment. I feel like basically I worked in the corporate world, and I still work in the corporate world. And as part of that, your body feels like total crap because you're just like sitting at a desk all day and you're in high stress situations all the time. So I've always been into fitness, and probably for like the last 10 years. And then one day I fell head over heels. Like I used to be really into weightlifting and bodybuilding. And then one day I just found like my body wasn't enjoying it as much, and I found low impact. And then specifically I found yoga and Pilates, sorry. So his face. So I one day just decided, I was like, I want to learn more about this, and I'm just going to go ahead and take teacher training because I would rather have the understanding of like how it's supposed to work. Yeah. And I didn't really go into it thinking that I wanted to be a trainer. I just wanted to know more about Pilates specifically. And then I just kind of kept going with it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of fear, and not for everyone, but for some people, there's a lot of fear when it comes to becoming a trainer, especially when you're planning on teaching group fitness classes, because you do have to have a certain level of confidence to do it. And it's like public speaking, right? And everyone's terrified of that. It's like you have 30 people in front of you and you're in charge of making sure that their bodies are safe.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It always felt like it was like something I wanted to conquer. Like I didn't want the fear of public speaking to hold me back in any way. And I don't know, for some reason, it was the driver. So again, there wasn't one specific moment. It was just always like, I just wanted to keep tackling my own issues.
Yeah.
And I think with any trainer, you'll find that there's always a component of wanting to help other people. Mm-hmm. So I always knew that I really wanted to help others. And I also knew that I had a message that I wanted to get out there that I didn't feel like was being put out there. And that message is that fitness is for all body types. It's accessible to everybody. It's not just for one looking one way. And Pilates specifically is very focused on being perfect, or, quite honestly, like there's this very specific body type, which is skinny white women in Pilates. And although I am one of those people, I would say, I do feel like I would like to be part of the solution in making other people feel comfortable and trying Pilates, because I do feel like it has so many good benefits to it. I think I have a few. I feel like my favorite part is that I love the community. So I do feel like I found like-minded people. There are a lot of people, just having been part of the corporate world and part of this world and kind of straddling that line, I do feel like there are so many people who don't realize the value of health still, even though there's obviously been a big wave of people who are coming in and prioritizing health and wellness. But I do feel like in a lot of cases, like a lot of my corporate friends still don't understand. So for me, it's finding community, finding people who understand the values that I hold up, who won't judge me for the choices that I make because they understand why. And ultimately it is still being able to help people. So I find that trainers tend to be really, really altruistic, and they want to help other people, but they don't want to help themselves. And what you see, especially on social media, is that you see a lot of these like fitness influencers who aren't certified in anything, which, you know, that's a different conversation. I don't really have a problem with that. But the trainers who are certified and are experts in their field, I find that a lot of time they hold themselves back and they're not willing to promote themselves as much because they feel like they don't want to be in the forefront. They want to be in the background helping people. And obviously that's a generalization. That's not everybody, but that is a trend that I see. And when I see that, I get so frustrated because I'm like, you are the expert. Like, you have a message, you have something to say. There is an audience for everybody. So I feel like a lot of trainers, a lot of really, really talented trainers would do well to just take advantage of social media and all it has to offer. I think it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's a great tool to use for marketing. We all know that now. And it can be really, really scary to start. And it's awful to put yourself out there at first. And quite honestly, I still feel like it's awful. But yeah, I just feel like you have to be able to promote yourself. It's unfortunately, it's a competitive industry. It shouldn't be, and I don't believe in that, but it is a competitive industry. And so if you feel like you have a strong message to say, then you got to put yourself out there. Well, before COVID, I was planning on opening my own studio. So I had a business
Been so
plan.
far away in the past.
Yes, I had a loan. I had seen a space. I was about to sign a lease on a space about a week before we went into full lockdown.
Yeah.
So I definitely had a different plan for how my next couple of years were going to look, and I was ready to tackle that. Obviously, that is, you know, I wouldn't say that dream has died, but it's put away for a little while until we see what happens. So that was a huge pivot for me. I had left my job to pursue that. Like, I had left my nice fancy corporate paycheck job and taken a risk to do that specifically because I just wanted to dedicate all my time to it. So I definitely pivoted, and I was like, well, if I can't do a physical studio, I'll do an online studio. Which is how my company Dime Pilates was born. And it's, you know, it's the same message that I wanted to get out there with my physical studio, which is, again, being inclusive and, you know, celebrating all bodies and encouraging everybody to come into Pilates and find the benefits. But it was, yeah, I think everyone would agree that digital is where you need to be right now, especially, you know, for us, we're in full lockdown number 2. So typically I teach at 4 different studios across Toronto, and I now teach at 1 studio across Toronto because we've been forced to shut down, and, you know, a lot of our studios can't afford to pay instructors anymore. So it's just pivoting online. It's the Zoom, it's the IG Lives, it's the partnering with brands and, you know, doing online workouts with different brands. It's starting this online studio, which I'm really excited to see a lot of trainers have embraced that. So yeah, I think most people have a similar pivot. It'll be interesting to see what happens with it. I don't know that everybody will continue to do digital once we come out of lockdown. I actually don't see myself giving it up now that I have this company that I love so much. I think it's here to stay for me. But that's not necessarily, you know, that's not to say that I won't do other things. I don't think that studios and fitness studios, I don't think that that's ever going to die. There's too much of a culture around it, and quite, it's like way too fun. It's like, I think it's like a luxury for us, right? To have, you know, I guess depending on where you are in the world, but for me, I'm really lucky. Canada and Toronto specifically have incredible studios and small businesses that I really love to support. So that being said, I don't think that digital is going to go anywhere. And I think that the future looks like a much more of a mix of digital and in-person fitness. I just don't think either one of them will go away at this point. I think people have too much at stake with their online studios, and people are, you know, consumers or people who want to buy the programs and buy the packages are now used to operating at home. So I think that it'll just be a good mix for the, I'm excited to see like what else happens. Like,
it's interesting.
you know, everything has been trending digital for a really long time. And it's like, what's the next step after this?
What's next?
That's what I'm excited for.
Absolutely.
I love this question so much. I love this question. So, it's really interesting in Canada. Everything I say comes with a grain of salt. It's my perception of how people do it. But in Canada specifically, there is a really, there's a couple different factors. One, we're a very large country, maybe not in population, but definitely in size. So what that tends to, I guess what's come about from that from a fitness perspective is that you have really urban areas like Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, Winnipeg even, who have developed a very health conscious scene, a really incredible array of high quality studios, like that would rival any studio in the world, I would argue. But on the flip side, you also have really rural communities and more rural areas, more farmland, or if you go to the East Coast, there's just smaller communities that maybe don't have the big glamorous studios that other cities do. So there I find you typically have a lot of activities-based fitness. So whether it's hiking or going for walks or skiing and snowboarding, there's just such a vast array of ways you can stay active in Canada depending on where you live, which is incredible. But secondly, another factor that's amazing is that because Canada is so welcoming to all cultures and all different ethnic backgrounds, we don't really have like one specific, there's not like a Canadian person.
Yeah.
And everybody here is Canadian, but you can also have a different background. So what that's lent itself to is that now you have access to all these different forms of fitness that you might not. So for example, like around the corner from me, there's this amazing Muay Thai place. Yeah. It's Muay Thai. And it's like they're from Brazil and they're experts in their field. Or, you have amazing karate and taekwondo studios. So all those cultures have brought their own perspective on fitness. So it's so funny because we say Canadian, but I think, it's amazing. So we have, I feel very lucky because we have access to experts in all these fields, and they're from the original countries and bringing their knowledge and sharing that here. So I love it.
Wow, it's great. Yeah, it seems very fun.
Spoiled. I think it would be this is like kind of an annoying thing to say, but I feel like it would be to just keep going. It's literally like just keep going, because most of the people in this field love what they do, and it is their passion. And sometimes I think it can be easy to forget how much you love it, because unfortunately it becomes a little bit competitive, I find. So if you just find your way back to your why you love it, just keep going. I think that is the best advice I could say, because it can be a little bit exhausting. That being said, I also think that it's an equally big piece of advice would be collaborate over competition always, because we all have such a passion about this industry and we all have such strong opinions. And I think that's incredible. It's like, where do you find people that care so much about what they do that they will like literally get into arguments over it? So why compete? Why not collaborate? Let's support each other, especially women in this industry. I think women really need to, and we have, band together and support each other. So I think those are the two things. Just keep going, collaborate, don't compete.
Absolutely. These are very important advice, because like many trainers seems to like think they're competitors, and they can just collaborate and be there for each other instead of doing that.
Well, we all win, right? Like if I'm collaborating with you and you're a competitor, all we're doing is promoting each other and we both win. So to me, it just makes sense.
Yeah, and there's enough for everyone in this industry.
Oh
There's
yeah.
so many people, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's enough to
And
be.
especially there's more than enough money in the world to
Yeah, that's for sure.
you know what I mean? Like there's no, to me, there's no thing is too saturated of a market. There's always enough money in the world as long as you have a positive message. And I think that anybody can win.
And each trainer is special as it is. Like you don't
Exactly.
need to.
Exactly. It's like you, the Pilates instructor next to me is completely different from who I am, and we have different messages. And so she will always have her own audience, and she will have something to contribute differently than me. And I can learn from her; she can learn from me. It goes both ways, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, I was trying to think of a song before I came on here, and I don't think I found one. But there's this song. Okay, there is this one song called. It's so small, like oh, no one's gonna know it, but it's called Rationale. I forget who the artist is, but I put it in almost every class of mine. Oh no, the artist is Rationale. The song is called Say What's on Your Mind. I put this song in almost every class of mine because it just makes me like really emotional. And I just find it's such like a good, especially with Pilates, because there's a lot of like you're flowing into things, you're using your breath. There's a lot of like movement. It's not versus just like staying static and lifting weights. So I find that this song like really lends itself to like just like getting into your feelings and connecting with yourself. So I don't believe in cheat meals because I just believe food is food, but I love fries.
Yeah.
I love French fries more than anything. So I think it's basically any of the women in my life who are, I think if there's anybody I had to say though, the women who founded Tone It Up, so Katrina and Karina, I think I would have to say them because they, to me, they pioneered digital fitness and they were first to market and then they built an empire. So and then they have a product line. Like I just really admire everything that they've done. I would say it would be do your best until you know better and then do that, which is a quote. It's just your fitness journey is always evolving and it's easy to get passionate about the one thing that you're doing now, but you don't know how you're going to feel 3 years from now. So it's just do what you love, keep going. And then when you know better or you find something you like better, then do that.